Welcome once again to Stay Alive with Church Alive. And this is your host and president of Church Alive Development Corporation, yes, and the proud pastor of Church Alive Community Church. And once again, we're here to bring you a holistic approach to the gospel. And that is to provide information, resources, and services that would improve the lifestyle of all of us. Well, we were caught surprised by this pandemic, and has cost many lives of our friends, our relatives, and people who we really admired, and suddenly they are taken from us. But the sad part about it, we were not prepared, and they were not prepared for the final arrangement. You said, well, Reverend Burkett, what is the final arrangement? Well, many people passed, and because there was no plan for their funeral, plan for where they should be buried, many of them stayed into trailers, and many of them were sent to Pottersfield. And a lot of them are still in the morgue as we speak, because the family and personally the individual did not consider what would happen if he suddenly was taken out of this life. And so we learned something, and in learning something, we need to be proactive. I want to also thank God that it was in 2007 where I met with Holiday Memorial Park through a very close friend of mine, and he educated me. He said, Burkett, you don't know when you're going to go, but what about the tragic situation financially that you're going to lose, put your family in? And I've begin to realize that. He said, why don't you start making pre-arrangements now? And that's what we're going to be talking about. It's preparing. And a lot of folk who are Christians just say, well, Jesus is coming and it's going to be a rapture. Well, even Jesus don't know when he's coming, but our responsibility is to stay prepared. And so without any further ado, I would like to introduce my guests to you from Hollywood Memorial Park Cemetery, Mr. Oscar Ocasio and Mr. Orlando Fernandez. Welcome to Church Alive.
Thank you, Reverend Burkett, and it's a real pleasure to be with you here, and we thank you for the time to be here to provide what we believe is going to be some very valuable information for the people watching your show.
Thank you so much. And I've gotten to meet and fellowship with Mr. Orlando Fernandez, and now we got to see each other one-on-one. We know what each other look like. But it's amazing how you can connect. Even though you don't know the people, you can discern their sincerity about meeting the needs of God's people. All right, we have a situation here, and I believe you gentlemen have answers for many of my viewers that are watching. What is the benefits of buying and preparing for your last day and your family mainly? What's the benefits?
I'm glad you said that, and let me just share my screen here, if I may, so that you can see, while I'm speaking, you can see what I'm trying to show you. So it makes it easier for folks listening. As you said, can you see my screen now, Reverend?
Yes.
Okay. Right. As you said before, we're for Hollywood Memorial Park and Cemetery, and one of the things that we like to do is to educate people. And you asked the question, what's the benefit of pre-planning versus time of death need? And the first one I would have to say is that you have choice and you have a cost savings that people don't think about. The next thing is that you have financing options that you don't have at the time of death. The third thing is that by pre-planning, you get a guidebook and a planner where you can provide all the information that your family's going to need at the time of your passing, so that they can make the necessary decisions to do what's right by your wishes. And the last one is that people don't really think about that there's certain benefits when you go to a cemetery that's part of the International Cemetery and Cremation and Funeral Association that you don't get with the smaller cemeteries that are. And so we can elaborate that as we further go on with the interview.
Okay, can you explain then what are the cost savings of pre-planning?
Sure. Orlando, why don't you tell them about the pre-planning cost savings?
Yes, many people don't realize that you have several options and different types of services, which are in-ground burial, mausoleum, and a niche. And another benefit is the price lock. When you pre-plan prior to time of death, that will allow you to lock into that price at that time. As we know, these prices go up 3 to 5 years, 3 to 5% every year. So imagine owning a property for 15 or 20 years. So that will avoid that type of inflation. So that'll save you a lot of money by pre-planning. You'll be able to lock into that price, and that's a feature that a lot of people forget sometimes. You can also do this planning with your companion. You can do it together.
Okay, also there's an option there in pre-planning to have discounts. Am I correct?
That is correct. When you do companion planning, there are additional discounts that you can receive by planning together. Correct.
Okay, then I know it was in 2007 when um, I contracted, and what was good about it, I was able to get all the arrangements, all the amenities, all the different things to discuss me one-on-one, and not somebody in my family after I've gone to try to work that out. And I really feel very comfortable in the fact that I have pre-planned.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Do you have to pay up front?
We have different financing options to accommodate anyone's budget accordingly.
What about, a lot of times at death, there's a sudden payment. So all of a sudden, whoa, where did that come from? How do you alleviate that for the family members?
I'm glad you mentioned that. It's a very good question because people don't think about how to pay for it. And one of the benefits that you can get with financing is that you, at the time of death, you have to pay in full. What does that mean? That means if you did not make pre-arrangements at the time of your death, somebody's got to write out a check or somebody's got to pull out a credit card. And the substantial money that has to be paid at that point in time could be very crucial. The next thing is that at pre-need, you can finance it. That means that allows you to make payments monthly at a comfortable pace that meets your financial needs, which you can't do financing at the time of death. And lastly, is you can avoid leaving debt. We get a lot of people that come to us, like you mentioned before, Reverend, that suddenly their loved one passed away. They did not make pre-arrangements, and now they're left with $10,000 to $15,000 debt, and on top of that, they can't finance it, so they have to go to their loved ones, and everybody has to chip in order to get that person buried.
Yeah, that's a terrible situation, and I've experienced it a lot as a pastor, where suddenly we find out that we got to raise $5,000, and then it destroys the person's personality, the person's good deeds. Suddenly, it's a sad situation. So I'm strongly in favor of prepaying and making sure that when I pass, that I'm not leaving any pressure or hurt to my family members. Okay, but you mentioned before, and we want to go into early and offer a guidebook. A lot of times we need help in knowing what to do, when to do it, how should I do it, all of those kinds of things. And I know there is a wonderful guidebook, and I wish I had one here. I have one, but I would like to show it to my audience, and maybe we'll take a break, and I'll show them what the guidebook looks like, okay?
145 over 92. 180 over 111.
182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest, and then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
A lot of people don't understand, including myself, I didn't, now I do, the impact of having a stroke.
My memory is shot.
When I woke up, I couldn't speak.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
It's a tough journey.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
It's a new life, but I'm gonna make it better. Coming back. Ask your doctor, check your blood pressure.
Wash, washy, wash, washy, wash, wash your hands. Scrub them while you sing this song. Wash, washy, wash, washy, wash, wash. Rub your hands and fingers and the places in between. Using soap and water makes your hands so clean. Wash your hands. Great job, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now dry.
Wash your hands for 20 seconds, just like Elmo.
This is the story of a boy who was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
I wear a mask for my fellow New Yorkers.
My mama, who's a healthcare worker. Nurses and doctors.
For my father. For the marginalized communities who don't have access to adequate healthcare.
For my children.
My community.
Essential workers.
Transit workers.
The immunocompromised.
I wear a mask so we can get back to work.
Go to school. Share a meal. See a movie.
Hug my friends.
Dance together.
Go to the theater.
See our families.
Continue to show support.
Take care of each other.
Save lives.
Stay strong.
Oscar, we mentioned earlier about a guidebook, and it's coming up on the screen. I have one, and it's really something very special. And I'm going to let you take it from there because I like it, and I think my audience would love to have one.
Yeah, the Attorney Murray Guidebook and Planner that we give out to our clients is very valuable, first of all, because it comes with a living will, and it also comes with a last will, which a lot of people don't have. And the reason why a lot of people don't have is because they have to go to an attorney to get those documents done. And you can imagine what those documents would cost if you had to go buy them and get an attorney, pay an attorney to draft one up. So the Memory Guidebook comes with that. The second thing that the Memory Guidebook and Planner allows you to do is to put together all your personal and financial matters in order in one location, in one document where you would keep all financial matters and personal matters related to you in that booklet, so that your family members can have access to that when you're passing, and that will help them as they put together your funeral plans. The next thing that the booklet is good for, it allows you to express your wishes. How is it that you want to be memorialized? What do you want for your funeral? Do you want doves? Do you want a particular song or hymn to be sang? What pictures you would like? How would you be dressed? Things of that nature allows you to express your final wishes. And lastly, most people don't realize, but the loved ones need to have all the information for them to make 87 decisions that have been documented that are required to make when a loved one passes. This particular guidebook will provide the guidance that the loved ones will need in order to make that happen.
It's just fantastic. I was looking over my guidebook with my wife just the other night, and I was, you know, it took a lot of how would you call anxiety over me. You know, who should say what, and I can imagine if I'm not there, my wife would have to choose who's going to play what music and what flowers and what colors do I like. After I looked at it, I said, if I left my wife to do all of this, that would be tragic. This guidebook is fantastic. All right, let's go on to, you mentioned also International Cemetery.
Yes, not all cemeteries are members of the International Cemetery Cremation and Funeral Association, particularly smaller cemeteries. And people don't think about those things because at the time of death, everybody's distraught. Everybody is suffering and everybody's going through stress. Now, why is that important? What are the benefits of being in a cemetery, of buying property in a cemetery as a member of the International Cemetery Cremation and Funeral Association? Because when you buy property there, let's say you move out of state, 100% of your equity, you could transfer it to another cemetery in the state where you're moving at, and you will receive 100% of your equity transfer. So if you buy today, it doesn't matter if 20 years from now you're going to move out of state. You can transfer that equity and take advantage of what you pay today and move it to another state. Lastly, cemeteries that are members of the International Cemetery Cremation and Funeral Association have to have a trust account. Now, what's the importance of a trust account? I'll tell you. Our trust account is $60 million. The trust account is there to ensure that the cemetery will be maintained for perpetuity. Now, that trust account is governed by the state of New Jersey. So the cemetery can't just take that money and do whatever it wants. Those funds are there to ensure that the property is maintained adequately for perpetuity, so that when your loved ones go to visit you and pay their respects, they're gonna you'll know that they're gonna go to a cemetery that is pristine, that is well maintained and well kept.
Well, this is great. So that means if I pass and I was living in Jersey, so to speak, but at the time when I passed away, I moved to North Carolina. My family doesn't want to come all the way to New Jersey. We're not there anymore. What you're saying is that I can transfer all the way to a funeral parlor, to a cemetery in North Carolina, correct? At the same price.
100% of your equity gets transferred over to another cemetery that's a member of the ICCFA. Correct, Pastor.
Now, is there anything that you would like to say to the audience? And I know that the question is always, there's a lot of cemeteries out here, and when people say you can go here, you can go here. Well, you've cleared up one point, is that a lot of them are not certified, not registered, and they don't have the collateral backing if anything could happen. Okay, and the grounds are not kept. But why Hollywood Memorial Park Cemetery?
That's a great question, and I really appreciate that question. The first thing is this. If you're in New York, we are 30 minutes from the George Washington Bridge. Now, you know that sometimes it takes a lot longer to travel from one borough in New York to another. We are just 30 minutes away from the George Washington Bridge. Number two, on the average, it's going to cost you 75% more to be buried in New York versus to be buried at Hollywood Memorial Park. And we have this information because we know what it costs to be buried in New York. We know what a mausoleum would cost in New York. And we have calculated that our cost savings is about 75% less than New York. The third thing, we've been in existence since 1909.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're not closing our doors. I already told you we have a $60 million trust to ensure that that cemetery is kept up for perpetuity. And each time a property is purchased, 15% of the purchase price goes into that trust. The fourth reason I told you before, we are part of the CCFA, and I told you the benefits of being a member of that. We are open 24/7, which means that your loved ones could come at any time to pay their respects. We have over 70 acres available with a capacity of 100,000 folks that we can accommodate. And I want to show you some pictures. You will see from the PowerPoint that there's a reason why we're called Hollywood Memorial Park, is because you will see in the pictures that this cemetery, it looks like a park. We get people from around the neighborhood that come every day to jog, to run, to enjoy the park cemetery, sometimes just to sit, because it's very tranquil, just to sit around and reflect on people's lives. And if you see the pictures on the mausoleum, you will see that everything is granite. It is well maintained. You will see that there are chapels there where funeral services can take place. You will see that the decor throughout the mausoleums as well as the cemetery is to honor those people that are resting there.
I want to thank you so much, Oscar. I wish we had more time I'm going to mention this to the people that are viewing, that there is there is aid information you need to call. We didn't get a chance to go into cremation, but you can call folk and you can get all this information. The telephone numbers are coming up on the screen, and Oscar will be there, and Orlando, and they've done a wonderful job already in dealing with a lot of my referrals. They have been well pleased. So we want to thank you, both of you, for bringing me quality information, not only to me, to my audience, and I know they have been benefited. Thank you so much, Oscar and Orlando.
My son Andrew was always a joy to be around. I always taught him to be accepting of other people. That's why when Andrew was suddenly fired from his teaching job for being gay, my heart just broke. As a parent, how do you prepare your child for something like that? I hope we get to a place where people will be treated with respect, equality, and love.
I wear a mask for my fellow New Yorkers.
My mama, who's a healthcare worker. Nurses and doctors.
For my father.
For the marginalized communities who don't have access to adequate health care.
For my children.
My community.
Essential workers.
Transit workers.
The immunocompromised.
I wear a mask so we can get back to work.
Go to school. Share a meal. See a movie.
Hug my friends.
Dance together.
Go to the theater.
See our families.
Continue to show support.
Take care of each other.
Save lives.
Stay strong.
Hurricanes and major flooding threaten cities, towns, and rural homes across the Gulf states. So chances are there will be more storms and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Reverend, I just want to add that we have a special raffle offer for everyone.
Yes.
And they will be able to see on the screen that we are raffling off 10 Memorial Guidebook. And with the guidebook, they're going to receive a certificate of entitlement for a complimentary grave worth $2,750, or they can use that credit of $2,750 towards the mausoleum. All they have to do to enter is send us an email at preplanandsave@gmail.com. They can send their name, address, phone number, and on the subject matter, they should put Church Alive. All the information on the screen. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to provide this information to your watchers.
Well, I want to say to you that this information for thousands of people is so valuable right now because the pandemic continues to spread. People are dying as we speak. We are giving families a relief. We're giving families a chance to really collect themselves and deal with the loss of their loved one. Thank you so much, Oscar. Hope to have you back again with Miss Orlando. And we're going to go further, and we're going to have some testimonies of people who have been blessed by your services at Hollywood Memorial Park Cemetery. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Reverend, God bless you.
Valentine, Valentine, tonight and day. In you I live, in you I move, in you I have my being. In you I live, in you I move, in you I have my being. In you I have my being. As I live my life day after day, I'll stand on your word. As I acknowledge